so I'm making this video because a lot of people have asked, well, if you're making a trading journal, then what the heck should you do? So this is a recording of my screen, and pretty much I've been doing this for the past few weeks, and you can see that I have screenshots and I have some information about what I want to research, what positions I'm entering into long ones. So this AVAX is a long. That turned out to be a mistake, and I'll show you why. YFI, and this is a long position, not as bad as AVAX, but it's getting there. So anyway, so what I was doing, this was on the 9th, pretty much last night, is I was doing some research on these different positions. And if you're wondering where these screenshots came from, I'm using TradingView in order to track all of my trades. So over here, I have this list of things that I'm focusing on right now. And yeah, this is more so futures shorting, and then I have some other lists as well. But pretty much, I was looking at AVAX last night, and if we go back, let's see, to my trading journal, you will see that I had this information here. I mapped it all out, and I set my stop loss at 86. Now, unfortunately, I was using KuCoin, and it's not always, I guess, intuitive as to how to set stop losses there. And I've been able to successfully a few times, but a lot of times I'm afraid to set those stop losses because, especially if you're on margin, meaning that you have borrowed some money from KuCoin or some other trader in KuCoin, and you're not always able to set a stop loss. And I don't know why. It seems to be very hit or miss. Sometimes I'm able to set a stop loss when I'm on margin, other times not. And then sometimes when I set up a stop limit or either market or limit, it doesn't always execute. So yesterday, for instance, let me go down. Okay, here. So right here, this is some old data. As you can see, I got the note here that says old, but pretty much I put in this limit here, and it was beyond this, actually it was beyond this entry price of 32,560. And I think it was something like 3,200 at that point. So I knew that it was going to go down, but I wasn't sure about how much. And it didn't even buy it. So it was really frustrating. So I had to go back in and buy it. I got it at a lower price, which is cool. But at the same time, it's really frustrating, especially when you set things up. So it does this at times when you want to buy, and then other times when you want to sell. So with KuCoin, a lot of times, especially if you're not able to set that stop loss, you have to go in and do it manually, which really sucks, because if you let this thing go overnight, it could go south, or, you know, say for instance, if you're shorting, it could go up a lot, and then you're just screwed basically. Or if you're doing a long position, and it could go down, and then you could be well beyond your intended stop loss. That actually happened to me this morning, so it's really, really frustrating. Now, with this particular one, YFI long, it's back into my range, so I'm pretty happy, but AVAX, not so much. So going back to my research, so this is what I was looking at last night. I was looking at the daily chart, and as you can see, it's kind of following this pattern where it's kind of hard to see with this text here, but you can see that it goes down, and then it has this period of going up for a few days and then down. I see it went up for a couple days here, but it was still going down, and it looked like it was trending up. And this is on the daily chart. But this morning, with the stock market, the US stock market, pretty much, I wouldn't say tanking terribly, but it was down quite a bit. And some reason that affected the crypto market as well. And if you've been paying attention to the markets, you know that a lot of times when the US stock market is down, it also affects the crypto market. So that was the case today, unfortunately. Although my analysis was looking right, it was looking like it was trending in the correct position. You can see right here, this red box that I have, this was pretty much my entry level around 89.51. And this was my stop loss. It was probably about maybe a 2 or 3% stop loss. Now these days, depending on the asset, I have a much tighter stop loss because I don't want to sustain a lot of like huge losses. I want them to remain tiny losses. So anyway, And you can see that my potential profit margin was all the way up to about 109. I boxed out this area here because it looked like a supply zone. It keeps reaching this area and then it keeps going back down. So I wanted to make sure that I capture my profits before before it actually got up to that point, so that way I could take my money out and do something else with it. So anyway, so this was the plan last night, but today I wrote stock market is tanking, affecting the crypto market. AVAX was looking good last night, and if we look at AVAX right now, we can see that, see, this is the perpetual, so this is the shorting one. So pretty much if you're shorting AVAX right now, I was actually going long, but if you're shorting AVAX, looking at this MACD here, looks like it's about to go to the positive side, which means you definitely don't want to short, you want to go long. And this was kind of what I was seeing last night. So if you look at this bar, what was that? That was this morning. Okay, so this is in the wee hours on the night. So I think when I put in this trade, it was somewhere between 1700 or actually 7 p.m. Pacific time and about 8 or so. So it was looking right. It was going, I knew that it was going to go down into this overbought area, but I didn't expect for it to dip that much. But as you can see now, it's kind of going back up to the positive side, which is great. So I am kind of holding the bag on this. I believe my stop loss was something like 86 and some change. I'm $2 short of that, and I only have 11, so this is a really 11 AVAX, so this is a really small position, and I wanted to do that because I know that over the past few months AVAX has been tanking a bit, and I'm not quite sure why, but just looking at the charts, it's been on a downtrend, and I have been shorting AVAX and I have been making some money on that. But according to this chart right here, if you're looking to short AVAX, it may not be the right time because you may lose a bunch of money, especially if it gets back up to those levels that we saw back in November timeframe. And let's just go ahead and look at the weekly chart. So I've been mapping this out right here. So in that, okay, so it doesn't go all the way through. I'm looking at the Binance chart. And one thing to notice is that you can look at these different charts, Binance, KuCoin, Coinbase, and they're going to have very similar information. They're not always going to have the entire range. I'm just so happened that I'm looking at Binance. I do have a Binance account as well. So anyway, looking at this, down, up, down. So, and it's looking like, based on the trend, it could possibly go up. And that's what I was basing it off of. I know this is a weekly chart. Let's look at the daily chart to get some better information. So if we fix that a bit. All right, so this is what I was talking about earlier, where it had this down, up, down, and then it went up a little bit. So it looks like these EMAs, the 9, the 13, and the 20, it wanted to go far below that, but traders weren't having it. So there's this really big bar here, and it was going up. And at this point, I was like, okay, I was considering it, but didn't buy in. I think I was shorting in here, which is cool. Made a little bit of money, which is great. And then here, I thought, well, based on the cyclical pattern that I was seeing, that it was probably going to go back up and retest the 9, the 13, and the 20 EMA. But based on this candle right here, but it's not looking that way as of last night. So this is the daily chart. Right now. So this is what I was seeing yesterday. This green candle was looking promising, and today it's all red. So we'll see what it does. And I am going to hold this position a little bit longer because I do have some AVAX that I'm holding for a long term period. So I'm not too worried. I know if this goes any lower than what it is right now, I'm definitely going to cut my losses and just move on to something else because I don't want to be left holding the bag when, say, this goes down to the low of 74.89. That's just way too low compared to when I bought in, which was around the, I think it was like the 89-ish area. So anyway, it was about 89, so it was actually on the high side. Should have waited, but anyway, with timing, you're never going to get the perfect entry point. You're going to get around the perfect entry point, and that's okay. So anyway, so that's pretty much what I'm looking at when it comes to AVAX, a lot of I mean, it's really hard to predict at times. It was looking like it was following this trend of down, up, like a lot of different stocks, cryptos, and you name it. So now it looks like it's just trending sideways. This is not a good position to be in, but like I said, I have been shorting and I have made some money here, so I'm not too sad. Not at all. I've been shorting for past few weeks. I haven't put in a whole lot on the shorting side, but I have pretty much my money that I've made from shorting AVAX is outweighing the losses, so it's kind of in balance right now. So I'm not too mad about it. It's just frustrating, especially when it looked like I had a really good trade. And that's the thing about trading; it doesn't always work out. And the cool thing about trading though is you could lose 50% of the time and still be insanely successful, profitable. So I mean, that's why I didn't want to wager too much here. I just wagered a small amount. I think it was something like $1,000. Obviously, I don't want to lose my money, which is why I was very careful here. But it's not a whole lot. I mean, now I'm probably down. Let's see, 10. It's not even 10. It's not a whole lot of money. So 5 times 11. Okay, so about $60 I'm down. So it's not terrible. But anyway, hopefully this goes back up. And if it continues to kind of just hang out in this negative area, I will be cutting my position short at a loss and then taking that money and putting it into something else that is looking more profitable than AVAX. So anyway, so this is just kind of a video just to give you kind of a description of what I was thinking about in terms of doing my research and what I'm looking for before I enter trades, mainly because you keep hearing things like do your research, and nobody's really talking about what that research looks like. And of course, this isn't a full comprehensive view of my research. Some of these I have been looking at for quite a while and have not put any money in. So let me go back to my trading journal. Let's see, like for instance, researching CHR. I looked at it. It might be a symmetrical triangle breakout. Now, I have not looked at this today. I'm curious to see what the chart is looking like, but I will look at that later on. Oh, and here's some other ones that I've researched. So some of these I've actually researched and gone short on. So that's been awesome, especially GALA. GALA's been really good these days as far as shorting. FTM, I haven't looked into that. Last time I looked at the chart, it was trending positively. So anyway, and then here is some other short positions. This was yesterday. So these amounts were definitely much higher. I cashed out on some of them already just because I wanted to take that money and put it into something else. So, I mean, and these aren't huge amounts, but still it's money. It's green, so I'll take it. So anyway, so this is just a quick overview just to give you an idea of what it looks like to do your research. And yeah, that's it. All right, thanks. Bye.